All right, hello everybody. Today we're giving the spotlight to Evan Aldo, one of our top traders. He's helped thousands of our users. He runs his own Aldo Empire community, and overall he's just a great guy with a lot of wisdom to offer the space. So without further ado, please welcome Evan Aldo. How you doing, Evan?
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you, having me on, enjoying the weekend, enjoying the nice Miami weather, that sunny weather. So enjoying the charts, enjoying kind of our little post having or having, jump up. So it's, kind of historical moment. So, it's exciting, very exciting.
It's a hot time for the markets, man, and you're definitely a man for others in the space. You've done so much for our community. And at Market Cipher, we want to give you the spotlight, man. We want to get you on this Market Cipher channel. We want to learn more about you. And so we've prepared a couple of questions for you that hopefully give our community a better look into the life and the mind of Evan Aldo. And so the first question I have for you, Evan, is one, just tell us about your background in trading and how you stumbled upon Market Cipher in the first place.
Oh man, it goes, I think about it, the time just goes by so quickly. I remember back in 2020 and 2021, I was out in LA. I had, kind of a normal 9 to 5 job. I was working as a paralegal, and when on one monitor, I would have my, legal briefs that I would be, just trying to go over, and it was really monotonous work looking through all those case files and all that. And on another monitor, I would always have, crypto faces live streams up, and I would always slowly learn from him. I used to always also put up Jason Casper's live streams. A lot of people that used Market Cipher, that's kind of how I found out about it. I think a lot of people found out about it. I found out it from Ben Armstrong or BitBoy, about using that and having crypto face on as a guest and seeing that. And it was a really kind of black and white way, especially for some of the strategies, on where to get in and get out. And it made a lot more sense to me than traditional TA that I, first was exposed to. And I'm not saying traditional TA is bad. I use traditional TA all the time, but I feel like you need something else to kind of supplement that, at least to a certain extent. And that's kind of where I kind of found out about Market Cipher, found out about trading. And in the beginning, I would mess around with a lot of small accounts, just mess around with it. I would just put it, sometimes on TradingView, I would just get out the long tool or the short tool and just put, the stop loss or the first take profit and just see, what the win rate was and kind of try to orchestrate a strategy. And there were, a lot over a few months of really, studying it that I was able to figure out. And then I eventually started to implement that. And I was able to do really well, especially on the way up in 2021. Obviously, we all know that the market's not always going to be, like taking candy from a baby. Sometimes it definitely is a lot of the times, especially on big runs up, like this run up to new all-time high, 73K. I was looking at one of my accounts and like I got a 3X in the account using relatively good risk management over the course of like 4 or 5 weeks. And obviously, once the market's more choppy, it's a little bit harder to do that, I would say, unless you're more of a scalp trader. It kind of depends, where you're coming from. But, know your environment is a big thing I've definitely learned over the years. So, yeah, it's a lot of, now it's kind of like it comes like riding a bike, it comes very naturally. I'm kind of just programmed. I have that kind of programming, in my brain to, find those good entries and follow those strategies because I've just been doing it for such a long time, and it just becomes muscle memory. You got to think of it too. There's people that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and go to school for many years to become a doctor, to become a lawyer, to be even things that are, less sophisticated than that. So, it does take time. Some people are going to be more naturally good at it than others. You obviously have to be passionate about it, but there is a lot of opportunity here. So, yeah.
I love it, man. And yeah, when we began in trading, before we had Market Cipher B, it was much the same for us. It was support and resistance. It was head and shoulders. It was those traditional forms of technical analysis, and those were great. But what we lacked was a why and a how like what is it? What's the actual momentum? What really moves the market? And when we created these waves, it was almost like an aha moment, because it complements the traditional TA so well. You see the head and shoulders, but then you see the momentum waves down below trending to the upside, and so that like would lend credence to the head and shoulder formation actually working and stuff. And so it's like the waves increase your win rate, and they pair really good with that traditional TA, and they definitely revolutionize the game for a lot of people in particularly the cryptocurrency space, which was mostly about crypto at the beginning. But then a lot of these crypto nerds are getting into trading, and so yeah, we were a part of that initial wave of introducing these crypto nerds and these crypto enthusiasts to a way of reading the markets that makes sense alongside traditional TA. And man, we were so grateful to have you come on board during that time. It was such a good time, and yeah, the market definitely has periods in history where it is like taking candy from a baby, and other times where it's a lot more difficult. It's almost like 90% of the time trading is very difficult, and 10% of the time trading is very easy. And so it's like,
Something
why?
like that,
Why
yeah.
is it like that, right? But Market Cipher B helps you understand why. It's because on the weekly and the monthly and those big time frames, you see the momentum waves going crazy over the 60 line, and you see that we're at those market extremes, and that we're actually in a history making moment in the markets from a momentum standpoint. And so Market Cipher helps us find those points in history where the going's hot, where it really is time to plug in and get into the matrix and dodge those bullets, and so yeah, man, great answer to the first question. The second question I have is, how did Market Cipher change the game for you? Like, what was your trading looking like before, and then when you introduced Market Cipher, what changed?
So I think my trading before Market Cipher was pretty similar to the average person back in 2020, just on Robinhood, maybe looking at Yahoo Finance charts a little bit, um, and trying to, you're just
Yeah.
looking at random things. So not even like just very, very basic, kind of just chasing price to a certain extent. I mean, I got more serious about trading when I found out about Market Cipher. Pre-Market Cipher, mainly just traditional, TA. Obviously, Head and Shoulders is kind of the one everybody knows about at this point. Those things are a dime a dozen. Obviously, I think reverse Head and Shoulders I like a lot better than the Head and Shoulders, but a lot of double bottom, double top, things of that nature. I didn't really know, that much about trading beforehand, really. I mean, I did crypto. I was into crypto years before, really since 2015, but I never really traded it. I just kind of bought and sold, Bitcoin. And generally I did pretty well just holding it, kind of that technique. It's kind of I call it the buy and die technique. You hold something long enough, it's eventually, the dollar will eventually go down enough to make it, it make it in profit to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Most of
Hmm.
the time. So that's kind of what I looked at. And I mean, the main thing, let me show you a chart here. One of the main things, I know
Sure.
you were talking about it. And I just want to show you, yeah. So like this is a trade I'm in right now. I don't think we exactly hit first take profit, but if you look at Market Cipher B, this is kind of beautiful. One of the things, on Market Cipher that I can't really find anywhere else, because you have the money flow, which is, I think, is one of the most important things here. And you have kind of the bull div on the 20 hour, which I really liked on Ethereum. And then combine it with, I guess you could consider big fib level, traditional TA, double bottom right here, you're making a higher low. And then, that bull div price is coming down while momentum moves coming up, you jumped upward. The other thing, that I've been using a lot, and we're always, learning new things. I mean, VWAP. I know you like the VWAP a lot in Market Cipher SR, and also these SR points, such as, these dots right here. And previous highs are big points too. But, look at what's happening right now. We are trying to break above. As long as we could, try to hold, this area right here, this VWAP, that would kind of strengthen our bullish case. Obviously, we came up a little bit. You may, reject a little bit before, potentially coming higher. And what I like to look at, this I like. It is the weekend. I always say, weekends are tougher to kind of predict, but looking at that money flow coming up, money flow crossover on the 6 hour, I mean, most of these would bring you up a little bit higher. I'm really targeting this spider line, which, if you guys aren't familiar with spider lines, they're basically, just trend lines, lines of support and resistance. 3,200, 3,230, which I'm kind of looking at on Ethereum right now. So that's the big point. Like the major, there's a lot of things on, market cipher, but the major thing, money flow combined with bullish divergences, is going to be the big thing. RSIs are good as well. I know people are going to say, oh, you could find RSIs anywhere. These ones might be, you might know more about this than I do, but I believe the market cipher RSIs have a kind of a special tweaking to them that makes them a lot better than other RSIs I've seen, at least from my experience as well.
They're definitely a modified RSI. There isn't another
Right.
RSI like ours, and we combine it with the Stokes, and so you can tell when the RSI is bearish or bullishly diverging from the stochastics. When the purple line is underneath the stochastics, the stochastics are red, and then when it's the opposite, the stochastics are green. So it's just something to look at. But usually when they're in agreement, you get a convergence of both the RSIs working together. So when they're gapped, sometimes they're tight. The gapping doesn't mean too much, but when they're together, that does mean something. That's convergence. And yeah, I love to wait for a good oversold reading for a long. You can tell that like a good long is festering up when the RSIs have not quite fallen below like 20 or 15 or 12, like down there in that oversold, like below 12 region. And then when you see it go down there and then start to recover over 12 or 15 or 10 or whatever level you've set, that's a good sign of, if you can pair that with the rest of Market Cipher's basic strategy, you've got the recipe for an upward move there. So yeah, man, the Market Cipher basic strategy, it sounds to me like it really has filled in the gaps as to how you talk about the price action. You have the trend lines, you have the basic TA, but how do you explain that from a momentum standpoint, from an oscillator standpoint? That's where Market Cipher B comes in, and it's created a framework for you to talk about markets and to actually execute. So brilliant, man, brilliant. So the third question I have is, do you have any best trades that you have in mind, or like amazing trades you've made that you could show off to us? And what were the signs that you saw that got you in those trades?
Oh man, when you've been doing this a while, it's a lot of the same signs over time. I mean, I've done a lot of YouTube shorts with like really good trade setups that I've done. I mean, for example, just like the one that I kind of showed you here. Let me just make the screen a little bit bigger. I mean, bull divs, on your 20 hour, that money flow, or on Ethereum, excuse me, that money flow kind of coming up was that big place. Or where, yeah, the 20 hour, not the 16 hour. Just like that was one example. Another thing too, I just want to show people kind of, how I was kind of started to turn more bearish, on the macro. And the macro is really important because I know a lot of people that use Market Cipher, they're not all day traders, they're not all scalp traders, not even all really swing. Well, they're more long-term swing traders. A lot of people, the average kind of, retail investor, and just look at this kind of high, momentum wave that formed right here. Your RSIs are coming down. That, look at what that gave us generally so far. I don't know exactly when it started printing, but just that rejection off of kind of that big area right there, right around 4,000, big psychological area, then the high anchor wave. The same thing could be said too with the weekly right here. And, that really has played out so far. Now, the question is obviously, do we come down farther to, let's say, 2,600, 2,400, those next areas, or do we recover? The thing too that I would argue here would be important to look at: 5-day weekly, like 5-day through weekly, probably 4-day at the minimum. Look for a potential trigger wave to form. Let's look at the last time. I think didn't show up on the weekly. Where was it? I think Bitcoin would probably be a better example here.
So you're expecting a trigger wave, a bullish trigger wave, which is a wave
Yeah,
below, a blue wave below the zero line, that is not as
essentially.
deep as the one prior. So we have that one that happened in, it looks like, yeah, that previous wave back in like October of 23. So
Yeah,
you're anticipating a wave to go down there, but not go as deep.
I would think so. I would think so. And even if it does go deeper, that would be, if it does go deeper, I mean, we're probably going to see something along the lines of very, a big correction. This going as a big correction. Let's say it does go that deep. still a really good place to get in for the second half of the
That
year.
would
I'm
be a
not
hidden
saying
bullish
that.
divergence, correct? Yeah,
Yeah,
because the
yeah,
wave will
hidden bull
trend
div.
down.
Yeah, either.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. If we do go lower than this area, yeah. Bitcoin is a little bit more, I think, black and white on this because if you look at, look
Ooh,
at I mean, this would strengthen the bullish case. Don't get too excited before this confirms, though. And you also have money flow coming out. But look right there. It's not really looking like it just yet, but like you mentioned, if we do come down farther, this could absolutely be a hidden bullish div, potentially bringing us up to the next all-time high, whenever that may be. Now, I think it's a little bit optimistic to think we're going up to 80K or something, in May. But whenever that does happen, let's say we come down, I don't know, a few months with the fear of the Fed potentially waiting longer to pause. Let's say we come down a few months, and then you get that like larger hidden bull div or something, you know, in May and June. That could potentially be where we're looking for. It would probably be the 2 day may give us something a little bit earlier, but honestly, I'd be looking at the 4 day. I'd be looking at the 5 day, because if you map this out, look at that. That would probably be in June, that trigger wave. That would be what we're looking for real continuation here. And that would probably be a real, good correction, similar to, I just want to go back and show you very quickly what happened in halving of 2016, right around, where was it? Yeah. Halving was right around July of 2016. So you're already dumping a little bit before it. Believe it was around July 9th or mid-July. And then after it, about a month after it, you did come down, a couple weeks to a month, you did come down a bit farther. And then look what happened right here in your 4 day. You had a beautiful, beautiful trigger wave that kind of, gave you
yeah.
the, I would say, second half, maybe like actually the bulk of this bull run did happen after that halving, which, and I would say
Could you draw that
yeah,
hidden
same
bull
thing.
div? Could you draw that hidden bull
Yeah,
div
oh
so
yeah,
that the
yeah,
the viewers can see? So as you guys see here, the momentum wave created a lower trigger wave, so a lower low in the waves. But if you look at the price action, it created a higher low, and so that is a sign of market continuation. You were in an established uptrend before. You see that disagreement between the price and the oscillator, and you got a massive follow through from that. It doesn't always have to be the run. It's more of an indication of the next move, but it seemed to set off a major chain of events. So these are very powerful indications on the 4 day. And this is why we have a whole community of 30,000 people who swear by these
yeah.
indicators, because if you can catch these signals at the right points in history, this is a king making indicator right here. And yeah, I really appreciate you not just talking about past trades. And if you guys are curious about Aldo's setups, all of his shorts, he puts out amazing hindsight. What got me into this trade and why, kind of thing. He has a lot of shorts on his YouTube channel that go over that stuff.
Longs too lately. More longs in recent with the market going up. But yeah,
Yeah, but he's not afraid to show us on this
yeah.
video the signs he's looking for in his future trades as well. And so, yeah. So the next question I have, Evan, is what's your biggest tip? If you had to have one tip for beginners getting into Market Cipher, obviously getting into like reading oscillators and indicators is multiple steps deep into the realm of trading. Like a lot of people get into trading and they don't look at charts. They just have their Robinhood account or their Coinbase account and they just buy and sell when they feel like it, And so to get to this point where we're at now, it takes a lot of dedication and passion for charting and trading. And there's people who are trying to get into this. They're dipping their toes into charting, trying to make sense of this. And so what is the biggest tip for a beginner getting into MC?
I would say the biggest tip: don't take any shortcuts. You got to learn all the things, risk management. You got to learn the strategy. It's not the easiest thing, obviously. There's a lot of stuff on this chart that I've showed you, right in front of us, and it can take some time. So I would say, don't take shortcuts. Risk management is one of the most important things. There's mixed views on this, but a lot of the exchanges they do have like potential paper accounts, like demo accounts, where it shows like, it's just a simulated trading or whatever. You might want to mess around with that a little bit. to see, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month, just to see. Obviously, there's mixed views. Like I said, some people would say, oh, I turned, $5,000 fictitiously into 50 grand in a month, with the psychology of that, it doesn't really count. I think there is some truth to that, but I've seen a few people, and believe it or not, it has happened to me embarrassingly, especially in the beginning, making like stupid mistakes, just using some of the exchanges, setting the stop loss at the wrong price, doing stupid stuff, accidentally opening a trade when I shouldn't have, like setting a limit order for the wrong price and getting railed with that. So you do have to be careful. There's a lot of variables. There's leverage. There's a lot of things to learn. So really study it. Take your time with it. Don't think it's highly. Nothing's impossible, but I don't know of anybody who just learned it in a couple weeks and started making tons of money. It's a specialized skill. It takes time. It's more of a gradual kind of pace, and it will really humble you if you let it. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things. Obviously, there's statistics. Some people say 80% of traders lose. Other people say 99% of traders lose. I think it's somewhere, kind of in between those numbers. I mean, a real big multimillionaire trader that's like becoming, I would say an analogy. It's like becoming a very well-known athlete. I wouldn't say as big as a Tom Brady, but that's somebody really big. It's really hard to do. To beat 80% of people, out of those 80%, a lot of them aren't using good risk management. A lot of them really don't know what the hell they're doing. That's not the hardest thing in the world if you have the patience, if you have the discipline to really do it. To be a superstar who becomes a multimillionaire from it, that's very hard to do, obviously. But realistic goals to get an account, maybe a 10% return a month, a 20% return a month. Those are not extremely difficult things done with the right strategy and the right risk management. I know some people have said, I've heard people say over the years, you kind of need to be like a robot. You need to be very robotic. You can't let your emotions control you. And I think that it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. I know the book Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, I would argue, is probably the best book on trading psychology. And, a lot of times, I was listening to a podcast with Dr. Bruce Lipton the other day, and he was, a lot of times, your voice, you always have that voice in your head that's saying, you can't do this, it's impossible, you're not good enough. Sometimes you got to take a break and kind of do the things you want to do it and are more passionate about. I think trading, a lot of people may get into it because they want to make money quickly, but they don't really have the passion to learn, all the things required to be really good at it. So that's kind of the important part here. You kind of need to be passionate about learning this stuff, and you need to be passionate enough where you are not going to get bored, with it after a few months. It's something that could take years. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a terrible journey. I think it could be very fun. I think it could be very rewarding. I think it probably could be a lot better, a hell of a lot better than the average 9-to-5 job, at least in my opinion. But people view it as, people have different views on it. So there's a lot of different variables here. There's a lot of different things. So yeah.
I love a lot of the things you touched on, man. Those were great tips for a beginner. Obviously, to practice. You don't just want to load up 20 grand onto an exchange when you're new and just try and flip it into 40 or 50K. It's very important that if anyone is new to trading in Market Cipher, and just load up a small account, load up a couple $100, see if you can do well with it, see if you can kickstart the engine of growth, or see if you do have issues of such as decay, like exponential loss that you need to work through as a trader, and a lot of mistakes can be made even at the expert level. Even a professional athlete can make mistakes on the field, but I mean that is also the mark of a master is you've really dialed down the amount of those critical mistakes that you make, and you do have a consistent style of execution that gets the applause consistently. That is the mark of a champion trader. No, there are no more of those extinction events with your accounts. You're not adding extra zeros on accident. You're not making panicky moves and all sorts of things like that. But yeah, I mean, what you touched on is, it's something that as traders, we never really you never fully overcome those hardships, because every day as a trader you got to tackle those challenges. Like, whether you're an expert or a beginner, you always have to be mindful of making mistakes, and you always got to be self-reflective, and sometimes thinking yourself as the top dog can do you harm in this game. It's almost damaging to see yourself at the top of a mountain in trading, because it's only down from there, right? And so we're always learning, always improving, always staying humble, and dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, and just we're just addicted to getting more information. Every day it's a new batch of information. And I loved the book. You referred a book there. What was the book? If people want to polish up on that, it was by Mark Douglas.
Yeah, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Even that book is like, I would say it's about trading, obviously, but it'll help you even if you don't want to trade. It'll help you with other aspects of your life. I mean, I think a lot of times too, and I think Crypto Face has said this. I think you've said it too. At the end of the day, a lot mindset is a lot of the biggest thing, and I think obviously you don't want to be too like have a crazy amount of excessive pride, hubris, think of yourself at the top, because that's when other people's kind of negative energy kind of gets at you, and you second guess yourself, and then you throw it all away. At the same time, if you're kind of in the more common area to be in trading, where you're just like, I'm not good enough, I'm just like everybody else, I suck at this, that's kind of a dangerous thing to be in too. And I think a lot of times with trading, and this is I think this is a lot of things in life too, like contrary to popular belief, like consistency would be harder than working hard. I think a lot of people think that they need to stare at the screen for 16 hours a day. You're probably better off to take breaks, go for a walk, work out, play golf, whatever it may be. And, take that time. I think, staring at the charts is kind of like lifting weights. If you do it more than like 2 hours a day, or even an hour and a half a day, depending, like you're just going to break down your brain and start to overthink things a lot. So you got to think of it kind of as a gradual, kind of practice, and, try to live, just try to visualization is very important too. Positive thinking, try to act like you're living the life that you really want to live, kind of already. And I think the universe will kind of, guide you towards that. And it may not be trading that gets you there. Not everybody, there's a lot of things I tried early on, and in my like early 20s that I thought I wanted to get into it, but then it didn't go right, and I ended up trying something else. And yeah, that's kind of just how it is. There's a lot of things that I tried that didn't go well. Luckily, and sometimes you don't know until you really try something. Sometimes you kind of don't know, and you kind of have to keep trying new things. And on a more micro level, you could think, oh, I want to be a swing trader, and then you realize, oh no, that's not really for me. I'm a better scalp trader. I have more passion for day trading, or vice versa. Yeah. There's a lot of things that kind of more things you learn, and more things you develop with over the years.
Thank you so much, man. So I have one final. This is kind of more of a goofy question for you, man, because I know that we just this is a lot of stuff to tackle. But if you could have one superpower, as Evan Aldo, the trading god, the market cipher educator, what superpower would you have that would change your life?
Oh man, what comes to mind? I mean, there's so many, man. But what really comes to mind, like the ability to read minds, like that. I feel like that would be very, 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 yeah, very interesting. Just to like you'd find out so many things about the world probably so quickly. Just being able.
The world. Yeah, you would walk the world, and you'd have to go to the people with that insider information, and then maybe be in proximity to them, and then you could read their minds and glean some market wisdom or something. Like, I'm trying to figure out how you would profit from it. Imagine you're like greedy, and you're just using this superpower to be a better.
Oh trader. Yeah, just meet some, go to some financial summits with some whales speaking, and probably see what they're thinking. Oh, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to short. I mean, there's obviously some people talk about manipulation. I think there's it's true to a certain extent. I mean, if you know the moves ahead of time, you'd be able to probably become a multimillionaire very, very quickly, being able to read minds, if not a billionaire within a few months. I would imagine. from a non-financial standpoint, I think it would still be very, very interesting to be able to read minds and see, people's, because you always wonder like what people say, in a conversation that you're not kind of exposed to, what people say, kind of behind closed doors and all those type of things. I would be very, very curious to kind of hear some of those conversations. I hope that doesn't sound like too creepy, but yeah.
Well, to be honest, you're right, man. You'd be exposing more than just market truths with a superpower like that, man. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's a good one, man. That's some Professor X telepathy. Maybe it's not all you got. Maybe you got some telepathy going on, like like where we could communicate telepathically or something. You could give me a trade signal from across the country without the need of technology or something. You know,
Yeah, no, it's the Neuralink, Elon Musk, all that stuff will probably
maybe
be
it's
there
coming.
before
Maybe
we.
yeah. Maybe that's already
Yeah,
coming in our direction, man. That's crazy. Awesome,
yeah.
man.
I mean, it's yeah, yeah,
All right, so let's take us to your YouTube channel real quick, man. Go to your screen and
yeah. Let me just let's see here. Am I sharing? Oh, I'm only sharing the. Give me 1 second here. I'll switch the thing I'm sharing, and I will go to my YouTube channel so you guys could see it. I just got rebranded.
I
Let's
noticed,
see
man, you
here.
went from a cool blue to a more, it's like a hot purple almost. It's like a lot more electrical, more energetic. I
Yeah,
feel like.
it's the Miami colors. It's the kind of the Miami Vice colors, which is kind of funny.
Make sure you guys follow Evan Aldo. This is his YouTube channel. And do you stream just on YouTube? It looks like you stream on other platforms as well.
I do. So X, or formerly known as Twitter, I do always do the streams there as well, and in Twitch. I haven't been as active on Twitch lately, but I do the streams there. So if you're using Twitch, you can view them on Twitch as well. But YouTube's the main one.
Do you want to share the Discord community? Take a little peek under the hood and show our audience what's going on in there as well.
Let me see if I could share it again. Okay, and now you should be able to see it. So a lot of what I post, a lot of TA in here. I do group chats with everybody from time to time, and you could see it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great, great. So Bitcoin, ETH, altcoin TA. We do have a couple other analysts in here that post some good stuff too, especially a couple of Forex things on KMAC. And I do give actual like entries, take profits, and stop losses, all that type of stuff. Obviously, not every trade is going to be 100% right, but that is one thing that kind of separates my Discord from a lot of others. I do take that accountability, and then we have our chats here. We do have the FAQ that shows us everything generally, the way I trade and all that type of stuff. And this channel I always post whenever I do a voice chat with everybody. Post it in. I'll tell you in the announcements, and then we have some really good discussions in there. So I think it's a really great community. If you guys are interested, check it out.
I think it's a really stand-up thing to do to put those trade setups down. I think obviously we're not here to provide financial advice with these VIP communities, and on a certain level, we want to teach our members how to fish, not simply just give them fish. But by you putting those setups out, it's like you're like a steady guide, man. It's a baseline to work off of, to bounce off of, to learn from, and yeah, it's a blessing to see your process, man. So yeah, thanks for showing the community. And make sure you guys follow his YouTube, the Twitter, and all that stuff. And do you have anything in closing that you want to say, Evan?
Uh, oh man, exciting time. We'll see what happens. A lot of variables with the whether or not the Fed's going to pivot. It is it's tough to say exactly what's going to kind of happen right now, but I think like everything else, just stick with it. Keep trying, keep plugging, keep trying new things. And I think it's very likely that Bitcoin is not topped out for the cycle yet. I think we're gonna have a nice 2025, even if the rest of 2024 isn't as good. And then a lot of alts still have, we got a lot of alts still potentially coming back. Maybe some Bored Apes coming back a little bit. A lot of things in the NFT space. So I think I think this is kind of just the tip of the iceberg, what we've seen so far. I think at the most we're like halfway through the bull market. But I think there's going to be a lot of stuff in like Web3, NFTs, gaming that it's going to do pretty well for the next year to year and a half. So I'm excited about a lot of things right now. So yeah.
I love that measured optimism. Obviously, optimism in markets pays, and so you don't want to be too optimistic where you giggle, you're giggling so hard that you soil your pants. You know what I mean? But out
Yeah.
of out of all of our voices, you got probably the most level head, Evan, and yet here you are preaching a message of optimism for the next couple years. Keeping good health, staying well read, playing the long game. And so we are just super grateful to have you as a part of our team and as a friend. And so, yeah, Market Cipher, we highly recommend Evan Aldo. If anyone's new to the space, definitely check him out.
Really appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.